I'm going to show you my sewing room today because in a few days everything is going to change. I got a new machine. It's a small room and I prioritize my machines, so I thought it might be interesting for you to see how to fit quite a few of them into a relatively small space. As we go in, I have a tape measure stuck to the door frame. I use it to roughly check the fabric length, either when I've just bought it or when I'm using something from my stash and I'm not sure if I have enough. I got it from fabricshop.pl. It's sticky on one side. And the view of my room as we go in. I try to use some of the wall space for gadgets and organize them according to the frequency I use them with. I also want to reduce the amount of fabric and the number of buttons that I keep in the sewing room, because my machines are the most important things that I need. And I need to have an easy access to them to move from one machine to the other very quickly. So I've got quite a few shelves. I keep my sewing books, but unfortunately not just the sewing books in my sewing room. So the last shelf is not my sewing books, but that's the sewing books. And I've got some things that I use for making harnesses for the dogs in the white plastic boxes. And then the patterns, and I've got a lot of patterns, too many patterns, so they take up too much space. That's part of my pattern star codes and independent companies' PDF printed out patterns. And my hand press that I love very much, and all the dies and everything I need to use it. I'm going to show you a glimpse of Alex. Alex is a snake, so if you are scared of snakes, don't look now. This is Alex. He's really sweet, but I'm not going to show you too much. And that's my industrial overlocker, Juki MO6714 DA, direct drive 2-needle overlocker, semi-dry head, all parts made by Juki. It's a brilliant machine. It's very fast and really reliable. Then the Ovation by Babylock and Juki DXHZL7, or as I call it, my lock stitch machine, my main machine. And then my Juki MCS1500 cover stitch that you know it's next to the window. I've got my windowsill of shame here, and that needs to be tidied up and removed from there. I keep my pattern weights and my clips here when I'm not using the machine, and some other things. The windowsill of shame contains various things, from needles to zips, buttons, things that should be somewhere else. And I've got more patterns here and my pressing tools, namely the clapper, the ham and the pressing cloth. My extra spool holder and the buttons. Buttons are in the jars. And then Babylock additional feet and some extras for the cover stitch, various binders and so on and so forth. So I'm trying to put as much as possible of the tiny little things that we all use somewhere up, because I want to have enough space to get to my machines. I'm still, well, getting there, but that's the point that I want to make. I want to change things to have even more space to get to my machines. I've got too many patterns. The patterns are also in the boxes, and I've got another few boxes of patterns in storage. And as I said, this is my main machine, so the X7, also by Juki. I like it. It's got a really good quality straight stitch. I like the nail lift. I like the buttonholes. I like the fact that you don't have to change the plate to do straight stitching. I like a lot of things. It's very easy to use, and I probably don't use enough of the functions. And then my IKEA Scottish pegboard, and I've got some stuff here as well. All the boxes are made by my husband, Hedge Hubby. And the IKEA Scottish, that's probably something that most people have, and it's really useful. I've got a lot of scissors and a lot of measuring tools, and I've got the sticky tape as well. You can stick it to the table, the one that I use on the door frame to measure my fabric. Of course, my Gingerhead & Co. labels and some double-sided tape for leather, a flexible ruler, and I've got a lot of marking tools in the boxes over here. You'll see better from some distance. And I don't really have anything pretty, but I've got a photo of my parents when they were getting married and some cards from Nancy. And my labels, yes, they are the woven labels. That's the card from Nancy with the hedgehog. I really like it. And my marking tools. The orange cutter is for my spent blades. When I don't use the blades anymore for cutting fabric, I can cut paper with it. or something that is not important. And my proper rotary cutters are yellow, so I can't mix them up. And a few of my prim gadgets, the loop turner and the pressing ruler that I really like. Some more of my labels, but they're not woven. That's the sticky tape that I told you about. It's really good because you can stick it to the table as well, and you can measure anything you want. And what else? And some things that I use for drafting patterns when I draft patterns, not very often. The Ovation cheat sheet, and my strings for the masks, and the lint roller, and the calendar from Nancy, which I absolutely love because it's a calendar with hedgehogs that tells a story. And each month there is a separate adventure, and it really does tell a story. And the shelves where I keep everything. The books need to go somewhere else, but I'll have to find some space for them. And then my hardware is in the boxes, and my sewing books, I think most of them, definitely most of them. I might have one or two downstairs. And a book about mushrooms for some reason. And my notebooks where I keep my notes about what I want to make and how I want to make it. My blind hammer is also there. And that's pretty much it this side of the room. So let's move on to my fabric stash and the mannequin. I keep most of the fabric in IKEA Kallax units screwed to the walls. The fabric is organized more according to the type than the color, although after the type there comes the color. And my adjuster form, body form or mannequin, it's mainly for draping. I prefer draping than flat drafting. It's okay, not exactly like me, but I doubt I'll be making my own. It always wears a bra because it's got smaller boobs but bigger hips than me. It is size 6 petite Supra adjuster form, and I like it. It's okay, it's quite good. My aim is to have all my fabric stash here, but in reality it constitutes about 1/3 of my fabric stash. The rest is in the boxes in storage, which is not brilliant, but that's me. I've got too much fabric. Sorry about the spin. I just want to give you an idea of how big or how small my sewing room is. I also have my wardrobe here with my clothes, and that's how I cut fabric. I'll show you in a second because I can't cut fabric on the table. I just physically can't really. So I've got my cutting mats. Well, one is stuck to the tabletop and the other or two others are just used when I cut bigger projects. And that's how I cut. And that's my ironing board. And I also have some foamy plasticky things that I use for drafting my patterns. I stick pins in them and move the pattern pieces. Rotate the pattern pieces. But I have no idea how they are called. They're used for advertising and things like that. They're very white. I also use them when I record my tutorials on the cover stage because it's next to the window so you wouldn't see anything. So that blocks out the light. But they're just kind of foamy things. I have no idea how they are called properly. I got them from some art supply shop about 3 years ago, so I really don't remember. But they're quite useful, and you can trace patterns using them as well. As the base for your tracing. But I mainly use them to rotate my pattern pieces. More cutting mats. I've got a lot of cutting mats. And I've got more than one ironing board, but you've got the idea. And that's the loo. So if I really, really need a wee, I can quickly go to the loo. That's the bathroom, What else? My rulers, and I want to remove everything from the floor, but even as it is, it's not bad. I don't have too much on the floor. And I keep all my thread, or the big thread, under the desk there. And unfortunately, I've got some boxes and some more patterns on top of the wardrobe, and I don't want that. I want that to be for my patterns only, so I need to reduce my fabric stash. At the moment, it is as it is. So that's it, and that I'll show you how it looks from the very bottom or from the very top, if you prefer, of the room. So that's my sewing room. It's not very big. And the idea is that the things that I use most often, I need the access to. The things that I use less often can be put somewhere higher. So I need a chair to get on the chair and get them out of the shelves or the wardrobe. But that's fine with me. I need the access to my machines. My machines are most important and I use them. That's all the machines that I use. I do have more machines, but I don't really use them. These are the ones that I use every time I sew, or pretty much every time I sew, and my cover stitch probably the most. And this is, to use the cliche, my happy place. I really feel happy and I feel quiet and peaceful here. And it's a form of escapism. My sewing is generally a form of escapism, and my room is mirroring the escapism. I can close the door and be very happy here with my dogs and my cats and my snake, leaving the external world behind. This place has changed a lot within 3 years, and it is going to change again in a few days, but I hope the sense of calm and peace will stay with me every time I come here. I hope you enjoyed seeing my sewing room as it is now. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more. Thank you and see you soon. Bye!